Thank you, Mr. Dale Peacock, for joining us in this conversation today. You run Athma Shakti Vidyalaya Society, which is based in Bangalore, and it's a non-profit residential therapeutic community that provides services in the fields of mental health and rehabilitation. You, of course, look at this whole mental health rehabilitation as a holistic and a therapeutic community approach that you do, and you've been running this for about 3 decades. Could you tell us some of the rewards that you have seen in these years of running this institution?
Yes, that's true, Deepti. We have been running Athma Shakti now for almost 41 years. On the 25th of August, we'll make 41 years. So definitely, we have been rewarded in many ways. And I like that you're starting off this interview with asking about the rewards. And the rewards are not so much in terms of monetary gains for us, okay, because we run on a very low budget and the staff who work with us are very low paid salaries. So the rewards come in the form of the gratitude that we get from the patients, from the parents, the families of the patients who have gone through our treatment process at Athma Shakti. And that is what gives us the biggest reward, to see that somebody who was off track in life is able to get back on track and then to resume their life again and be a success in society. So that for us is the biggest reward.
Yeah, you said that there must be a lot of challenges as well, right? You like at every step, it's not an easy thing to be running this. So, just take us through some of the challenges that you faced in your earlier years, and maybe now that you face, and how you've overcome them. What sort of processes was involved? What sort of new methods and innovations you did to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had a fair share of challenges. And broadly speaking, it would be challenges like professional challenges. By professional, I mean, see, we are a treatment center. And as a treatment center, we have to, screen patients who come to us. We have what is called an initial interview. And in that interview, we check the patient's awareness of their problem and whether they are open to taking in help. And only then we decide that whether we take them in or not. So sometimes it works out well. They are aware and they are open to taking help. Sometimes they are not. And I mean, we don't blame them for that because that is part of their illness when they are into denial. But some of the parents who are also desperate, because they want to help their child. And when we say this is our requirement, so they become indignant. But in all fairness, because if we have somebody who comes by force, then we have to keep them there by force. And then that affects the whole community. All the other residents who are there, they also get disturbed, because this person is rebelling. They say, you are keeping me by force. It's not my right. They want to complain to the police and they want to run away and we have to keep them safe. So this is one of the biggest challenges that we face when somebody who comes by force. So it makes it a lot easier for the person as well as for everybody in the community. If they accept that they need help and they come, then they are able to cooperate better. And, the whole process is a lot more smoother. Not that they don't fight. Sometimes, of course, they get upset because they have to adjust. Now, that's another challenge, to get them to adjust into the environment of the community. But then, it makes it easier again because they see the others, they are adjusting, because their whole lifestyle has gone haywire. They are awake during the night and they sleep during the day. Their eating habits are pathetic. and they are addicted to these gadgets. Their personal hygiene is gone for the six. So like that, we have to get them back into a regular lifestyle. Okay, so we have fixed wake up time, bedtime, and then at fixed time for different activities. So when they see others, complying and following the routine, they also begin to do that, and slowly I get adjusted to the environment of the community. Another challenge could be sometimes medication, because when they come, most often they are on a lot of medication, and we believe that we want to put a lot more emphasis on psychotherapy, not only on the medication. So we need to have them quite alert in their minds to be aware of what they are thinking, what they are feeling, to be able to connect their behavior to their thoughts and feelings and things like that. So we start to reduce the medication, and now because of the internet, they are able to check out, and that's always that they check out because we are open. Let them see what medication they're taking, what it's for, and the side effects. So even there again, sometimes people are resistant to changing their medication or reducing it because they would rather be more dependent on the medication than start to take personal responsibility to put in the effort to make the changes by themselves. So those would be some of the professional challenges that we face. Apart from that, we also face a challenge of getting good staff. Now, we want good staff, okay? We want reliable staff because we are 24 hours. We need to have staffing. So, and at the same time, we are paying them less. So it's quite a challenge to get people who we can rely on and who will stick on for some time. That's another challenge that we face. And then, of course, the big challenge of finance. See, because our only source of income is from the fees that we collect. And, we provide good accommodation, food, and, the environment. Like I said, the good staffing, 24 hours of the day staffing. And so with the fees being the only source of income, it's very hard to make both ends meet. So, every month is like almost like hand to mouth. And then when big problem comes up is when there's some major maintenance work that has to be done. Like some time ago, the bowel pump packed up, or the fridge is packed up, or the UPS packed up. So then it's difficult for us now to find that those funds to get that fixed or to replace it. Washing machine backs up. So maintenance is also another big challenge, but that is because of the financial constraints that we have. So those are some of the challenges that we face.
The philosophy of Athma Shakti has been, from what I gather, a community based approach that you treat in a holistic manner. Could you just take us through what sort of treatments are available for which sort of mental illnesses, and also how does this whole process work? What is the sort of infrastructure that you have, and if you could just take us through that.
Yeah. So basically, we are a therapeutic community, and we treat people with various kinds of mental illnesses like schizophrenia and personality disorder, anxiety disorder, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, those kind of disorders that we deal with. So we have a treatment process that begins, right, like I said, the initial interview itself, because we believe, our philosophy is that we believe that as human beings, even with their mental illness, they can be taught to become aware of their thoughts and their feelings, and to learn how to connect their thoughts and feelings to their behaviors, which are, sometimes inappropriate. So we believe that. And so then from that belief, then we also extend it to then we believe that they can take responsibility to deal with their thoughts and their feelings and behave appropriately. So that's basically our philosophy, and that's the kind of population that we work with. And yeah, our treatment approach, like I said, it starts way back in the initial interview itself, just testing out their awareness and motivation. And then when they do join the community, first is helping them to recognize the symptoms, or to what we call problem realization, to realize that this is clearly a problem that they have. Once they've understood that, once they've recognized that, then we move on to intensive psychotherapy. And that we, keep getting down to finding out what is the root cause of their problem and helping them to deal with it at the root cause, not just, go by the symptoms and, just suppress the symptoms. Then we also then focus, once they've gone through that intensive psychotherapy, then we focus on rehabilitation and recovery. And we guide them as to what they can do once they leave the community. If they need to finish off their studies, then we help them to do that. They need to get a job, we get them started on a job, and they go either to the school or to the college or to their job from Athma Shakti for a couple of months, and just to help them to really find their way out. And then when they are ready, then they are allowed to go out and be back in society.
Yeah, so I think what we were talking about was about the processes, etc., right? And the infrastructure that you have. So what I assume is that you have doctors on call, right? In the institute, you have
Yes.
people, residential doctors as well, staying there in the institute.
No, we don't have a residential doctor. Okay, but we have a consultant psychiatrist, and we have, in case there's a physical problem, then we have clinics close by. And yeah, so we have a doctor on the staff, but she doesn't live on the premises.
Okay. So this community approach is definitely a unique way to make people feel at home here. How has that this kind of an approach aided in the recovery of the patients? Could you just share some examples with us of the unique approach that you follow?
Yeah. So it's like, as far as possible, we try to make it like another family. Okay, so we all consider ourselves as part of one big family. And like we do in our own families, each person is allotted certain jobs, certain responsibilities to take care of the cleanliness of the place, or to preparation of meals, uh, and also at the same time to take care of their personal hygiene and to follow and practice a regular daily routine. And also we have group therapy and individual therapy. So there are a number of activities that we together get involved in. And so all the activities that we have discussed with the residents, and we have taken their input also, and we have formed this kind of routine over the years of practice. So now, to mention a few examples, this we had a 25-year-old girl who came. She was very depressed and anxious, and she had just one more year to finish her master's. And she came, she spent about 9 months in the community, and she was able to express what the reason for her depression was. And because she was very much suppressed in the previous environment where she came from. And so over in Athma Shakti, we gave her the freedom, and we were open to her expressing herself, and she really blossomed, and she was able to come out of that depression. And today she is gone to Ireland, and she has joined one of the prestigious universities there, Trinity College. And she has just got into her second year, which is her final year, and she'll finish off with a master's in social work. So she is definitely one success story. Okay, then we had another young boy from Mumbai. He was extremely, I mean, he had acute psychosis, which means he was, not at all in touch with reality. So he would behave in very inappropriate ways. So from that condition, when he came to us, we were able to, slowly get him into the community. Main thing, he was extremely anxious also, very, very afraid, and therefore also suspicious. So gradually, the staff spent time with him, and he started to feel safe with us and in that environment. And then gradually we helped him to build up his confidence in himself, because he had been bullied and ragged in college. So, that had affected him deeply. So we helped him to deal with that and to heal those wounds. And he is back home, and he is into his final semester completing his BSc. Okay, so he is another success story. Then we've had people who came to us, a young man. He was maybe early 20s when he came to Athma Shakti, very depressed. He spent about a year with us, and we kind of follow the same thing, where we, uh, because we believe that uh, in the theory of attachment. So first thing would be is to help them to make an attachment to the therapists. So then once that attachment is established, they form a good relationship, they trust the therapist. Then once they have the trust, then they open up, and they get whatever they need to get out of themselves, all those pent up feelings and all those negative thoughts and beliefs that they have about themselves. And so this guy also went through that process. And just day before yesterday, I got a message from him saying that he was blessed with a baby girl. He and his wife were blessed with a baby girl. So, like that, we have had people who can leave the community, they get married, they work, and they just lead another normal lifestyle like anybody else.
In your years, so many years of working in this field, you must have seen there's so many cases, and you have helped them as well. What do you feel is there some of the myths of mental illness in society generally prevalent?
That's true. That is it's a big problem actually, because one myth is many families think that their child is under the influence of black magic. They think somebody has done black magic to the child or to the family. So that is definitely a big myth that has to be busted. It's very hard, especially for the patient, okay, because they believe that somebody is doing this to them. So therefore, it's hard for them to take responsibility. And unless they take responsibility to change their way of thinking, then they'll remain sick. So it is quite difficult, and it is slow going with this person in particular that I'm talking about. But another myth is get them married off. They think that if they get them married off, to solve the problem. Not the case. In fact, it's worse. And they get married, and it turns out to be a disaster. And then they have to go through a divorce. They've already gone through a lot of trauma in their life before that. Then they have to go through the painful process of a divorce. So that's another myth that needs to be busted. So then there's another myth that is going around saying that there's no cure. And many people believe that there's no cure. But I know I've been in this for 36 years now, and I have seen people being cured and remain cured. Okay, and when Athma Shakti first started, it was, we treated patients without any medication, and those patients are all over the world, and they have remained well since they left. Okay. Then, of course, it became mandatory, so we had to, start giving people medication, and medication has helped. Okay. So that's another myth, that they cannot be cured. or they have to be on medication lifelong. So, my experience is that they don't need to. They can be cured and they don't need to be on medication lifelong. So those are some of the main myths.
With this COVID now that we're experiencing, mental health more than ever has become the topic of conversation. People are becoming aware that there is something called as mental. I mean, that you have to take care of your mental health as well, and what sort of advice or what sort of comment would you like to make on this whole situation, right? Like right now, how should people take care of themselves? What should they be looking at in these difficult times to take care of their mental health?
Yeah, I'm glad that, I mean, I don't say it in a bad way, but I'm glad that, at least, this pandemic has kind of got people to start thinking about and being aware that such kind of trauma can lead to stress and to mental health issues. Okay, because many people kind of write people off, those with mental illness are written off. So now, a situation like this that we are in right now, the pandemic, it goes to show that we all have stresses in life, and this has been a stress for all of us. Okay, but when that stress gets amplified and magnified, and people go into a state of panic. I've heard of cases where people have assaulted medical staff who have come to test them, and they have run away and assaulted them, and because of the panic. And the whole understanding of this is needs to be corrected, and that's where they need intervention. Intervention by people who are in the field of psychology and counseling, to counsel them and tell them, okay, it's like any other diseases. You take the necessary precautions, and if you get it, you get it. You can still go through the treatment and get well. The thing is, when you panic, your immunity is lowered, and then that the virus thrives in that kind of situation where the person's immunity is lowered. So I would say, like we tell other people who come also, like I right at the very beginning, I said we have this initial interview to check if people accept that they have a problem. So with regard to the pandemic, we need to accept, okay, this is the reality. We have this virus to deal with, and we have to do whatever we need to do, follow the guidelines, take the necessary precautions, and even if you get it, at all cost, be calm, do not panic, go through the treatment process, and you have a much better chance of getting well.
And also because of the COVID situation, like how are you taking care of, the safety aspect, the whole thing of, masking up and physical distancing, etc. How is that playing out in your institution?
I am happy to say that in Athma Shakti, the residents and the staff have adapted very well. Adaptation is one of the key requirements, in life for all of us. The more we are able to adapt, the more we are able to adjust. It is a sign of good mental health. So people have adapted in that, okay, firstly, we have said no visitors and no visiting either. So then, of course, hand hygiene, everything is sanitized, disinfected, social distancing we practice. People are wearing the masks even when they go out of the building and into the compound. They're not outside the gate, but within the compound, we have people wearing masks. And yeah, so we are very, very careful. And I'm glad to say that by God's grace, we have been free of any victims of the COVID.
You actually, Mr. Peacock, you talked about the challenges in the beginning, some of the challenges that you have. What sort of support, would make you more efficient? What sort of support you think from the public would help you do much more than what you're doing right now?
Yeah, uh, we do definitely need a lot of support from the public. And uh, see, I mentioned about, okay, financial, okay, that's one thing. Even if it's not in the form of, finance, like, donation of, UPS or fridges or deep freeze or washing machines, or paying towards the rainwater harvesting, or to get our corporation water connection and the sewage connection. All these things are ways by which people can support us. Like I said, maintenance was a big problem, so that is another area that we need a lot of support in.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm sure people watching this would take a heed of that, and I'm sure a lot of people want to help out in different ways, and that can be done. Thank you so much, Ms. Peacock, that you spoke to us and took time out to tell us what is happening right now at Athma Shakti and how you are helping in this whole process. And all the best to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deepti, and I'm really grateful to you and to your story for arranging to have this interview. And I'm sure that something good is going to come out of it.
I'm
So,
sure.
from my side and on behalf of the whole of Athma Shakti, a big thank you to you and to your story.
Thank you.